Just like you, I hate reading a self-help book, gaining the insights, and then after a while just returning to my normal state of being. It's essentially just mental masturbation because you're not actually changing your habits or, taking any practical insights away from it to implement to your daily life. Because thinking is the root cause of your suffering. Joseph Nguyen. And no, I'm not Joseph Nguyen for all y'all racist people out there who think I'm Vietnamese. I love Vietnam people, I love pho, but I am Chinese Indonesian proudly. I'm not Joseph Nguyen. I'm not as good looking as he is, but anyways. All right, let me tell you, this viral TikTok book went viral for the right reasons. The main thesis and takeaway is essentially thinking is the root cause of your suffering. The reason why you're suffering right now is because you're thinking. What's up, y'all? My name is Arnold, and I recently graduated Yale with a double major in theater studies and poli-sci on a full ride. And here I am just reading stuff so that I can help you with your self-help journey and personal, academic, spiritual life journey. I know that's very ambitious, but I read this book. I thought it was really cool because I'm a huge overthinker, so hopefully I can share some great insights with you. It has some really great ideas, such as doing things out of inspiration versus desperation. Doing something out of desperation means that you're doing it because you need to do it, you have to do it. Let's say you want to become a very famous writer, for example, and if you're doing things out of desperation, you're just constantly racing against the clock, you have the scarcity mindset, and you're just like working, not enjoying the process, but simply just focusing on the goal all the time. Like, oh no, my writing's not good enough. I have to achieve like this specific goal in mind. There's a lot of negative, desperate energy. It's not a great journey because you're not doing it for fun anymore. You're doing it once again because you feel like you need to, or you want to accomplish it for some self-centered reasons, or you want to do it for the money. Doing things out of desperation it's just not a good time. But if you do something out of inspiration, it feels very light and airy and fun. You're pursuing writing because, not because you have to pay the bills, but because, hey, this is something that you genuinely enjoy, that you genuinely love. You feel like the universe, that God has given you something, and that you really want to materialize your creativity in the world. You're super passionate about it, and you're doing it because you're inspired. You know what I mean? There's a stark difference between doing something out of desperation because you have to make the money, doing it out of wrong reasons, versus doing something out of inspiration, because you're inspired, because you feel light, because, it's very fun for you, and you just want to put it out in the world. He also talks about the idea of the difference between thoughts and thinking. So thoughts are simply thoughts, like I have a thought that I want to eat some filet mignon right now. These things just kind of pop up in your head. Those are thoughts, these individual ideas, thoughts that just kind of come in your head. I said thought a lot, not in that way. YouTube did not ban me. While thinking, on the other hand, is proactively thinking about those thoughts. So like elaborating off of it. For example, a thought could be like, oh, I'm hungry. And thinking would be like, oh, I'm so hungry. Oh, I should get McDonald's. Oh no, but I don't have that much money. Oh, I'm so poor. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It often leads to places that takes you away from the present moment. Another idea he talks about is just letting go and allowing the universe to miraculously do the work for you. I know this sounds like some hippie stuff. No offense to you hippies, we love you. But, the best example to illustrate this is I got this video idea literally when I was walking my dog in the morning, and I didn't want to go out in the morning to walk my dog. I didn't force or think my way into, making a video about this, but literally I was just walking, and then I had an idea. Oh, you read that book that I think is super useful for, high school students during this time, or college students, or people in post-grad, 3 seasons that I've very much been in. We all overthink, and I think something like this could be very helpful for you. In a world where we constantly want to control things, there's so much reassurance and relief in just being able to let go, trust that you did the work, and trust that God will intervene. And if it's meant to happen, it'll come to you. If the opportunity is meant for you, it'll come to you. And it just avoids a lot of the mental stress, you know what I mean? Because once again, you're doing things out of inspiration, not because you are desperate for something. Those are all great ideas, and he talks about a bunch more in the book, but I wanted to focus more on a very particular tangible idea, which is the main one, where the fact that you're thinking is causing you to suffer. And it's important. In the book, he talks about thinking is causing your suffering, not necessarily just overthinking. The fact that you're thinking is actually causing you to suffer, not just overthinking. Let me explain. He talks about how thinking about something and the intensity of the positive emotion that you feel about something are inversely proportional. What that means essentially is the less you are thinking, the more happy you're going to be if the emotion is happiness, and the more thinking you are, the less happy you will be. This is because literally the less you are thinking, the more you're going to be doing and engaged and present at the activity at hand. This causes you to be present and reach that flow state. Like this, for example, if I'm really just focused on, recording this video, I feel very light and happy because I'm in a flow. I feel like I'm present and my mind isn't off somewhere else. But the more I think, the less engaged I will be on the task at hand, the more I start worrying about, things that aren't even in my material reality. There is a difference in overthinking and deeply thinking, in my opinion, though. Overthinking is, unnecessarily and unintentionally thinking about something. And especially, more commonly it looks like worrying and stressing about stuff, while deeply thinking is choosing to intentionally and deeply think about topics in a productive way towards yourself. So you should really try to avoid overthinking at all times. Now, how can you practically implement Joseph's advice? Because to be honest with you, sometimes I read these books and it goes in one ear and out through the other. But, the obvious answer is to take more action and to do less thinking. But the caveat to that is that you don't want to force your way to not think. If anything, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. If you try to not think about something, it's going to actually make you think about it even more. But instead, in the book, he advocates, for being present. And when you are thinking about something, don't try to reject or say, no, don't think, don't think, don't think. Just allow the thoughts to arise, like I mentioned earlier. Allow the thoughts to arise. Don't attribute any emotion to it. It's neither good nor bad. Simply observe it, don't judge it, and let it pass. You want to be like, oh, Arnold, this isn't a horrible situation or whatever. You're simply just doing that thinking thing again. That thing that you do where, a problem hasn't even come up, but you're already trying to attribute negative meaning to it. I also took a class at Yale. It's the most popular class at Yale. It's called Happiness and the Good Life by Professor Laurie Santos. And she also talks about this where, if you have like a thought come up, it's neither good nor bad. Don't judge it. Just be present in the moment. And this could be achieved through meditating where you observe your thoughts. The reality is, and I saw some statistic out there, most of the problems that we create tend to be in our head and don't actually even materialize. So truly thinking is causing us to suffer. Just like you, I hate reading a self-help book, gaining the insights, and then after a while just returning to my normal state of being. It's essentially just mental masturbation because you're not actually changing your habits or, taking any practical insights away from it to implement to your daily life. This is why it's really important, when you're reading a book like this, not to just read the book, but to actually study it and put it into practice. Study the book actively rather than passively, and then take immediate action. So the actionable takeaway for me is to simply do things intentionally. So the first thing I would do is actually to eliminate. A lot of people immediately think about adding things to your life. And I would recommend, eliminating all the junk and, distractions and stuff. Look at your calendar, look at your environment. For example, I know your phone, the thing that is recording this right now, it's cliche, your phone is going to likely cause you to overthink. That's because you're actively getting disturbed and disrupted throughout the whole entire day. Let's say you're focusing on one task and then you get an email about another thing and then you start thinking about that other thing and it takes you away from the present moment. You have to look at your calendar, you have to look at your environment and be objective with yourself. What are the distractions that are taking me away from the present moment? I can guarantee you, the phone is there, unnecessary classes that you're taking right now, trash or clutter in the home. Before we start implementing and adding, you have to start removing. The next thing to do is to just write, whether it's with pen and paper or online, list all of the goals that you have for yourself and really be honest here and be as ambitious as possible, as true to yourself as possible. And these could be anything, right? These could be career goals, fitness goals, spiritual goals, goals to just make you more happy. You just really want to reflect, let's say, you want to, get back into the gym and lift a certain number on the barbell bench press. Or let's say, you want to get closer to God and read the Bible more if you're a Christian. Or if you remember as a little kid, playing with Legos really made you happy. You could literally put all those goals hey, I want to be able to play Legos more. I want to achieve this physique. I want to be able to do this, that, blah, 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 blah. The next thing to do is now that you have these items, intentionally incorporate them in your calendar. Obviously, some can be more consistent than the others. And of course, there's a whole entire other thing about establishing habits and taking it slowly. For example, for the gym, eventually you might want to go do it 3 to 5 times a week. So at first you could be once a week and then twice a week and then 3 times a week. You want to put these things in your calendar so that you're not just constantly brushing them away. And if you can't put them in your calendar, at least have the list accessible. So once you're bored or you have free time, you know exactly what to do. That'll make you present in the moment so you can focus on tasks that once again help you, progress closer towards your goals. But these are the things that give you purpose, that make you happy, that give you meaning. And once again, if you are truly focused on doing the task and being present, the more you do, the less you will think. So you won't suffer, because thinking is the root cause of your suffering. Joseph Nguyen. And no, I'm not Joseph Nguyen for all y'all racist people out there who think I'm Vietnamese. I love Vietnam people, I love pho, but I am Chinese Indonesian proudly. I'm not Joseph Nguyen. I'm not as good looking as he is, but anyways. The next thing is to take the consistent action at least weekly and just do the activities. This is great because now you literally have a system in your calendar that is forcing you to do things. You don't have to overthink. You don't have to be oh, I don't have time for this. No, you're hey, you put on Saturday morning from 9 to 11, unless you have a conflict, you're gonna go to the gym. That way it makes a system for yourself, because human beings, we tend to fluctuate a lot in our emotions, but having a system where, hey, you eliminate all the distractions, you intentionally journaled about things that make you happy and bring you closer to your goals. Now you're putting in a system where, hey, you have to do these things. A big caveat, which I think is very underrated, is that you want to make sure that you're doing the things intentionally. At first, especially, I think it's really important to simply just show up. You know what I mean? Even if you just go to the gym and you do a few sit-ups and you head back, I think that's considered a win, as you are establishing the habit, because this is something that you're developing throughout your whole entire life. But the big caveat is, it got to a point where like I fell into the trap of doing the thing just to do it rather than making it count. For example, I would go to the gym every day, right, for around an hour. But it got to the point where I've been doing this for years, where I would go to the gym, and most of the time 40 to 50 minutes would just be me on my phone checking work emails and doing other stuff. And if anything, that's kind of counter to what I was saying earlier, because now you're using that activity as a way to escape, to overthink about another activity. So that's something that you can clock, as you're, doing this consistently over the long haul. Just make sure that once you have that activity scheduled and you're doing it, you're committing to that activity. If you're at the gym, really focus at the gym. I know that you want to put your your little AirBob stuff in and listen to the music. But if you're listening to the music, maybe put on Do Not Disturb so that the notifications don't disturb you. So it really is about intentionally reflecting on what things bring you happiness and what things you want to work towards, eliminating all the distractions, intentionally implementing it into your schedule over time, and then presently doing those things so that you don't have to overthink, so that there's like an intentional system that you can rely on, because human beings, we fluctuate all the time. And he also has a great framework about this at the end of the book as well. To be honest, I didn't read that part in full, but honestly, it's really great. Thinking is the root cause of your suffering. I think this is a great book for whether you're in the college application season as a high school student, if you're in college, or if you're post-grad, or heck, even if you're an octogenarian or whatever. I think this book is beautiful. Once again, I'm not Joseph Nguyen. I'm Arnold Setiati, and thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay happy and do things that make you happy and bring you closer to your personal goals.